It has been a struggle on the offensive side of the ball for the Tennessee Vols in each of the last two games. And today, with a massive game coming up Saturday against Alabama in Neyland Stadium, we're going to examine the three biggest things that Tennessee must clean up on offense in order to jump back into the college football playoff conversation. Hey, it's Lucas Panzica from 104.5 The Zone and A to Z Sports. Tennessee's hit a couple of new lows on offense in the Josh Heupel era in the last 2 weeks, in the loss against Arkansas and the win on Saturday in overtime against Florida. Before that Arkansas game, Tennessee had never been held scoreless in the first half in the Josh Heupel era. It happened in Fayetteville against the Razorbacks, and then it happened again against the Florida Gators in a game that Tennessee was able to come back in the second half and eventually survive. The Vols have scored a combined 37 points in each of those two games, so things have cooled down significantly from the red-hot start to the season that the Vols had as the strength of schedule has expanded coming into SEC play. So, number one, pass protection has got to be better for Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. The Vols are bottom half of the SEC with 13 sacks allowed so far this season. They've allowed 7 sacks in each of the last 2 games alone. Now, the responsibility falls on a lot of shoulders here. Left tackle Lance Hurd and right tackle John Campbell have not been good enough in each of those 2 games. Hurd, specifically a former 5-star player, was a massive get in the transfer portal out of LSU. We have to keep in mind this is the first time Hurd has been a full-time starter at left tackle in his college football career, so there may be some growing pains, but the Vols certainly will need to expect better from a guy that should be a pillar of this offense. And running backs, pass protection has got to be better in the backfield as well. Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop have got to do a better job of getting bodies on edge rushers before they come into contact with Nico Iamaleava. Number 2, penalties. Holding penalties have killed Tennessee at seemingly the most untimely times. Tennessee has been getting into some grooves, especially in that Florida game, but whenever the Vols get into that up-tempo offense where it looks like they're moving down the field, it feels like a holding penalty calls them back and kills the drive. Tennessee isn't exactly worst in the SEC in terms of penalty yardage per game. It just seems to pop up at the most inopportune times, and there is no quicker way to shut down an up-tempo offense and take away that speed element with the pace of play than untimely penalties killing off a drive. Vols have got to clean that up. And number 3, deep ball accuracy by quarterback Nico Iamaleava. I've heard a lot of Tennessee fans over the course of the last couple weeks criticize head coach Josh Heupel's play calling in the games against Arkansas and Florida. And are there some things that Heupel could do better to give Nico Iamaleava some more answers? Sure, but instead of nitpicking the play calling, look at some of the plays Heupel has drawn up that has had receivers running wide open in each of those games that Nico Iamaleava has just flat out missed. There was one deep ball to Squirrel White that if Nico connects on against Arkansas, the Vols win that game and are still undefeated coming into the Alabama game. And you had some more of those against Florida. Now, Tennessee's wide receiver core is a little bit banged up. Brew McCoy, Squirrel White, dealing with injury at the moment. So that wide receiver rotation will be interesting against Alabama, but Josh Heupel has been getting guys open. Nico Iamaleava has to be better with some of that deep ball accuracy to keep those big plays going downfield and allow this Tennessee offense to flash. If Tennessee can clean up those 3 things on the offensive side of the ball, it should bode well for a Tennessee offense that had a phenomenal start to the season and is supported by one of the most elite defenses in all of college football. The Vols are working on it this week, and they've got to get it cleaned up before a huge game on Saturday against the Alabama Crimson Tide.